Paul, I'm so glad that you came here to Switzerland with me. It's a beautiful tour. We've seen a bunch of countries, Germany, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Switzerland. And just your opinions. What do you think so far? We've been together, what, 7 days now?
I feel like one happy family. We're on a traveling road show, and it's so great to connect with you on such a fundamental level. And I'm a mycologist. I study fungi. I'm very much interested in mycelium as a network. It has evolved over literally hundreds of millions of years, but we are all networks. Our communities are, and the lesson of mycelium is to share resources and to have intersections of skill sets and to build community and the community health. We all thrive when our habitats are healthy and then we are healthy. And so the long-term benefit of collaboration based on networks of collaboration is really what mycelium is about, is what we are about. Encourage everyone is to increase your networks. Each one of us are nodes of crossing. And in computer technology, the more nodes of crossing, the more integrated the circuits, and the faster the processing, the greater and more robust the ability to run huge algorithms. Well, in a sense, we mathematically are an algorithm of nature, and are coming together and creating these networks of collaboration, I think will set a foundation for the future. It's time for us to pass the torch to the younger generation, and we need to be able to deliver actionable, applicable solutions in real time and that can have effects in the short term with long-term benefits as well. Two things can be true, and this is what we need to do.
We were talking on the way a little bit about the reishi block, propagation block that you have, and the mycelium strength, tensile strength, almost a compression of that unit because it's so dense, it's so networked, it's so thick. But even if we go into the mycelium and the wood wide web underground, how that network branches, it supports every kind of health. That network just builds and strengthens itself, and it grows abundantly. It's an exponential. When I asked you the crazy question, would you consider writing a foreword for my book? I was not only honored, but I was a little bit in gratitude when you came back and said, I need to read the whole thing first and understand what is there and really see if it resonates, and then I'll let you know. What happened in that process? Tell me a little bit about it.
This is so important because actually I was quite surprised. I get asked to write so many forewords. You can't imagine. But this book is like not a novel. This is a book that I highly recommend. Just read 1 or 2 pages, put it down, and think about it. I mean, there's so many just jewels of knowledge in a few sentences, and your sentence structure and contrast and follow through. I mean, I had many profound moments going, holy moly, this guy really knows his stuff. But it's also, Mark, you're an eco-philosopher, not only a pragmatist with being able to do organic gardening, but you see a higher vision. And that's what we need. This is a map for a better future, and it's a map for an ecological consciousness. And it's beautiful. It's polemic. It's almost written in a verse form that just makes me reflect and think more deeply. So this is a book that I'm going to keep on my desk, for years in the future.
Well, I really appreciate it, Paul. And that was really my hope, not only to honor the lineage of great people in the book, like besides the foreword, you're in it a few other times, and many other greats that are Lynn Margulis, Donella Meadows, Jorg Randers, Alexander von Humboldt. Many greats are in the book as well, that I stand on the shoulders of giants, or that I learned from many great people like yourself. And I didn't want it to be something that was the 16 steps or the 5 principles or, the goals. I wanted it to be something that resonated with each of us, that we could just apply into our daily lives and be simple to have something to regenerate on. And a lot of people think when I speak about regeneration, I've been doing it for a long time, that I'm going to talk about agriculture. Regeneration is how life on Earth started 4.3 billion years ago. It's a symbiotic process. It's not something new. It's very old. And you understand that. And you mentioned that in the foreword with Luca. Can you tell us a little bit about Luca?
Yeah, Luca means literally the last universal common ancestor. The Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago, and 200 million years later, relatively short time, 4.3 billion years, Luca existed, the first organism on the planet is a unicellular. It was a single cell. And it took over 200 million years from Luca to become multicellular, the descendants of Luca. That when we started having linear chains of cells, then that is a first step to creating networks, because those branches then would branch and rebranch, and they'll encounter other organisms, perhaps unicellular, and are your friend or foe? Do you want to collaborate? Let's shake hands.
Yeah.
Let's build a community. Together, we're stronger than us independently.
Yeah.
And so the guilds were created, quorums of cooperating organisms. This became fundamentally the foundation of the ecosystem. And mycelium then evolved. And plants, existed much later than fungi. And so then fungi also gave birth to animals, or a simultaneously split at the same time. So this is amazing to me that we have the awareness now of many indigenous people have had intuitive awareness, perfectly legit, but we have the scientific tools now to authenticate much of the intuitive wisdom of indigenous people. We can now authenticate with technology. The good news here is many indigenous practices and beliefs are actually scientifically validated now. And that gives me great hope, because the indigenous wisdom, and especially using psychedelics and psilocybin, we're able to peer into the future. And so being able to see that there is this unanimity of being, of consciousness, of collaboration, this is really how we evolved and where we need to continue to evolve. We cannot separate ourselves from nature. We need to be embedded in the fabric of nature and take our responsibility as a sacred.
Absolutely. And we're talking about many great things here where we're at in Switzerland, and there's been some great new things come on the horizon. Not only the knowledge about the tryptophan and maybe even longer existence of life, and then some good groundbreaking things coming forward.
Because in perspective, so people say, why did he mention tryptophan? There's an asteroid called Bennu, and in 2016, NASA sent a probe. It's pretty much out beyond Saturn, so it took a while. 2023, the probe came back with samples from the asteroid. And then in November, I think 25th, it was announced, 2025, that analysis showed it has the 4 amino acids that are the building block of DNA. And they also had tryptophan. Now, if you don't know about tryptophan, if you remove a carbon dioxide molecule, it becomes tryptamines. So serotonin, we're using it right now, neurotransmitter, is a tryptamine. Psilocybin is a tryptamine. And the amazing thing of Bennu, it existed 100 million years before the Earth formed, 4.6 billion years ago. The implications of this is, I think, obvious to all of you. This means that matter is likely to create life all over the universe. Tryptamines, these are molecules of consciousness. And the implications to me are astonishing. That means that we may actually have the first glimpses of the constructs of universal consciousness. And, you mentioned many of the mentors you rested your work on. Sadly or not, most of those mentors are gone. They're gone in terms of their form, but they've gone back into the universal fabric of nature. They've died. We're going to die. So this podcast and this book is really, again, to pass the torch to the next generation, to inspire you, is that nature is our mother, and we are embedded in nature, returning to nature through our death. It's okay. Where were we before we were born?
We were star stuff before, stardust, and that's exactly what we were talking about. The basic elements underneath our feet that make up our earth, more than 90% of that is in our body. We crawled out of this primordial soup. So as we die, we're going to go back to the grand scheme of things, but we do come from something much grander, much older than we even know and can fathom.
In a sense, our egos confine us to a myopia of consciousness, a limited vision. And what I love about the work that we're doing and discovering, and all the other people who are knowledge keepers and elders in this community, is we're beginning to understand that, we don't have to be myopic in our vision anymore. Our eyes are being opened. Our lenses, are being cleaned. We can now see into the depths of nature, and nature has so many inventions that have already been created that we need to rediscover. In a sense, it's time for us to look through the lens of nature, because inside nature, we have so many remedies for problems that we face. We have an amazing double-blind clinical trial using a turkey tail and agarikon mushroom mycelium network that has an entourage effect that helps extend immunity with or without vaccines. Tremendous activity. In fact, our clinical study, one of the people I was talking to, if this was a molecule, it'd be heralded as a breakthrough in molecular medicine. But it's not. It's a network of mycelium. And our ancestors, through trial and error, there's about 150,000 species of mushrooms, about 14,000 we've identified. Our ancestors have identified about 50 species that interface with our human health and match our human health. And so we actually had a long, long testing period to find out which mushrooms match our immunity. And we found that. So, this double-blind clinical studies soon to be published in BMC Immunology, robust design, meticulously studied, and the results are just astonishing. Moreover, we use the mushroom mycelium to help bees overcome colony collapse. We published in Nature. We were able to show that we could reduce viruses that are harming bees hundreds, thousands of times with one treatment. Colony collapse in the United States hit 75 to 100% this year. We have a solution for protecting bees from colony collapse, which is fundamental not only to our own food biosecurity, but to ecological biosecurity of all the other organisms are dependent upon pollination from bees. So these are actionable solutions, and they're all based on the mycelial network rooted literally in nature.
That's why we're here, and that's really what we've been discussing. The key is turkey tail and agarikon could really save your life. And if you come across some of these pandemics and viruses that are out there, it's a sure way to protect your immune system pre and post.
And this is important. It's great to have skeptics and critics, but let's follow the science. Don't let your prejudice of your prior beliefs blind you from the provable, scientifically validated successes published in the scientific literature. And this is where my biggest supporters have been my skeptics. But everyone, if they have a belief system, you should be able to change your belief system based on evidence. So we have the scientific evidence, published in peer-reviewed scientific journals that the words that we've been talking about are true. But this opens up a huge opportunity for many others like you to dive into the depths of nature to find new solutions. There literally are solutions everywhere around us. We just need to unblind ourselves to them. And the good news is this is scalable. This is applicable. We can do this now.
Mycelium and mushrooms are exponential, so we can really scale it.
That's a really good point. This is many people might know. I can take 1/10 of a fingernail of a mushroom and grow more than 10 million kilos in less than 6 months. But why is that so? Is the mycelium, as it grows, it forks, every fork, but it grows three-dimensionally. But it's not only an exponential equation, it's an exponent to an exponent equation.
It's super exponential, almost verges on quantum tunneling. It's like unbelievable growth.
And this is something, again, I'm an impatient person. I want people to live longer, happier, and to know that there are scalable, applicable solutions that we can deploy now gives me great hope. It's taken me so long to push past the hurdles, to get to this space now. I just wish my lifespan would be longer so I could make more discoveries. But I'm confident that you, listening to this, younger than us, can pick up this torch. We have to validate it by science. Follow the science. And the science right now is just superb and validating of what a lot of indigenous people have been saying for decades. And now a lot of us psychonauts, we now have become scientists with amazing discoveries. Carrie Mullis discovered DNA, tripping on LSD. I discovered my discoveries from my deep journeys with psilocybin. I think psilocybin is a genius molecule. We have a crisis in creativity, but the good news is we have an antidote to that crisis in creativity. Psilocybin builds new neurons and new networks. And the mycelium's a network. Our brains are networks. The universe is a network. This is a way that different orders of magnitude, we're sharing a universal truth. Networks lead to survivability.
You mentioned a little bit fast or impatient, and we have the innovations and solutions. And I just want to close that, it's not even that. We tend to find out too late after we've already got it, when it's already there and present. that's not okay. But if it is, we have the solutions and they do work fast if we can apply them. And you're talking about that here, where you've had people who presented themselves with COVID, with the virus. They have been vaccinated, and then they were drawn into the study, the double blind, and given a Garicon and turkey tail, and how it reduces those things that really are the symptoms that really cause. There's some two distinguishments, but runny nose, cough, razor blade throats, congestion, phlegm. Those things are all minimized and reduced so that you can recover faster. Those are the ones that really hurt and kill you. And I mean, you say it better than I do. I'm just repeating what I've heard you say.
Well, what I'm allowed to say by the FDA is that in the United States, the mushroom mycelium supports immunity in healthy individuals. So, but we're all have seasonal health issues, and we're constantly changing. As we get older, our immunity declines. We're more subjected to viruses and pathogens and cancer and things like that. So how can we upregulate immunity but downregulate inflammation? And in these studies, we have found exactly that, which is an oxymoron. Many of you know, if you get cut, it's, you heal, but it's inflamed. So how do you augment immune response without over augmenting inflammation and leading to respiratory illnesses, to the cytokine storm? Well, we have this evidence now, and it's shockingly potent, non-toxic. It's a game changer. It takes, I'm not tooting my own horn. In a sense, I am. I just want to show that for younger people, have the courage to follow your heart. Everything follows later. Your mind follows your heart. It's the heart-led science leads to these epiphanies, and that it can transform society. So don't seek money for money's sake. Seek heart and love of nature and love of people. Create more smiles, joke, have humor, engage people. Always ask them, why do you think that? Don't tell them that what they think is preposterous. Say why, engage them. And then ask them, why you want to know why I think the way I do? And it's reciprocal. And then you unveil a story of discovery. You build connection and humanity. So it's time for us all to work together. It's okay to have differences in opinion, right? Let's not create a circular firing squad and shoot each other just because one or two subjects we disagree on. And with 98% of the subjects, we are actually have in common. And this is our time to collaborate and come together.
Thanks for coming on this trip with me. And I'm looking forward to many more adventures together. I know things are going upward. They're in the right direction. I'm so happy. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Thank you, brother.